Quiet, Mom. What are you focusing on? Hello, this is my 2021 Polygon Siskiu T8. So some of the disadvantages is that you can't fit like a full-size water bottle, and it's kind of inconvenient when taking it out because you have to go like all the way down here. And then also I have to put tokens in the fork and the rear shock because the fork used to make this clunky noise whenever I bottomed out. And then I put like 2 tokens. It had none at the beginning. And then in the shock, I think we put like the medium-sized one because he used to use a lot of his travel. And also the tires, they're not the grippiest compound. These are like, I think for like XC or trail, so not the grippiest. But when I first got it, before I added this plastic shield thing, it used to get a lot of dents because the rocks would hit around here. You can't see it right now, but and another problem with the bike is when I first got it, the headset used to make a lot of noises, so we had to take apart the whole headset and re-grease it. The seat is shaped weirdly, so sometimes your pants or shorts can get caught on here. And some of the advantages of this bike is the price point. You're getting a Fox 34 Rhythm and a Fox DPS with SLX for $2,300 without like tax or shipping. The paint color is really cool. It's like this purple with some like metallic flakes in it, and the design is really good too. It's good for climbing, and on the downhills it's super fun. And even though it's only 140, 135 for the large 29, it feels like a lot of travel compared to other bigger travel bikes.
The frame can fit a coil shock.
Yeah, because it's progressive, so
yeah,
you can fit a coil without it being like bad.
With the Fox 34, you don't feel any flex, right?
Yeah, I can't really feel any flex. I rode Caden's Lyric, and it feels the same to me. I mean, maybe more experienced riders can feel a difference, but for me, it feels kind of the same. So some of the things that changed on this bike is the pedals. The ones that come stock are pretty good, but I already had these, so I changed them. And then I went tubeless front and rear, so I can run lower PSI. And also I put in different grips because the ones that came with this bike weren't the best, but these are the ODI Rogue, I think. And then I also added a bottle cage because, you know, I want to bring just my water bottle sometimes, so yeah.
So the central question is, should you buy the Polygon Siskiu T8? So me and Eshvar concluded that it would be worth it buying the T8. I rode this bike on the trails and I would say it's really good. I have the Polygon Siskiu N7, and in the stock form of the N7 and the stock form of the T8, I'd say the T8 rides a lot better than the N7. The N7 just needs a lot of refinement, like it has a lot of creaky noises and cable rattle. Meanwhile the T8 is somewhat quiet, has a little bit of rattle, but it's not the biggest deal. The suspension is very smooth, like the fork and rear shock. The rear shock is very progressive, like the frame design. The rear shock actually feels very small bone compliant. Although it's a DPS, it still works fairly well. It almost feels like an enduro bike. It's very small bone compliant. It also feels like it's more plush off the top than my N7. The rear triangle on this bike, like the N7, has a bushing near the rear axle. On my N7, I've already worn down the bushing completely. I've also put in like probably 80-ish more miles than he has. So yeah, the sizing of this bike is very interesting. My friend Eshvar, who owns this bike, he bought the 29er large, and that still feels like a dirt jumper. Eshvar is 5'9" and I'm 5'10", and we both can agree it's pretty small for it being a large and a 29. So him being 5'9" and the bike being a large, He thinks that the 35mm stem might be a little bit too short for him because he feels a little bit cramped on the bike. So maybe in the future he'll upgrade to a 50mm stem just to get more room in the cockpit. And even with the 170mm dropper post, he still has to raise the seat post up a bit, maybe like an inch, but not too bad of a scenario because that's just modern sizing nowadays. So if you plan on getting this bike, please make sure you have a down tube protector. Eshvar got dents on his down tube like within the first ride. So what we used was Kydex and some double-sided tape. Not too bad of a process. Maybe I'll do a video on it, but yeah, it's just Kydex. You can get it off Amazon. It's quite expensive, but it's easy to mount, and you just need a heat gun, scissors, and maybe a Dremel. I'd also keep in mind that the service from Bikes Online and Polygon is mediocre at best, so just make sure if you're buying this bike you have like some sense on working on your bike. And yeah, just expect every email to be like a day or two delayed.
Ah.